everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Rebecca McLaughlin-Duane, and this week we're bringing you a roundup of stories from the region, spotlighting education, entrepreneurship, female empowerment and the arts. We also investigate a food startup company in Egypt where meals made by stay-at-home mums are feeding Cairo's hungry office workers. And we'll indulge in a bit of poetry as budding wordsmiths gather together in the capital to enjoy an evening together under a blanket of stars. But first, the 5th Annual Knowledge Summit has taken place in the UAE under the banner of Youth and the Future of the Knowledge Economy. And on the sidelines of the event, the Global Knowledge Index was revealed with some interesting results. From the 134 countries that were assessed in areas from education and the economy to healthcare and technology, the UAE has risen to 19th place from 25 in the Knowledge Index, in no small part due to its implementation of artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies. Academics and CEOs put their heads together at this year's summit, discussing youth empowerment and how to build the educational frameworks of tomorrow. Another topic was the economics of giving and the business of philanthropy, and Inspire Middle East heard from executives and thought leaders debating how philanthropists could be patrons of change and contribute towards the knowledge economy. Dr. Shams Laka, chairman of the board of the University of Central Asia, who is also a former Minister of Education in Pakistan, spoke passionately about how philanthropy had the potential to enhance economic growth and job creation in the Middle East region and beyond.
There are people who are going into business, small-scale business. The normal investor is not willing to take the risk. So philanthropists can give them the head start by taking a risk, even if the money goes a little bit less quickly into growth. It is better to go that way.
Dr. Laka emphasised that to safeguard philanthropy and individuals giving back in the long term, education at grassroots level and stricter legislation for the sector was key.
There's lots of money in the Gulf region and in the MENA and in Central Asia, but they don't know whom to give. They don't know whether the money will be properly used. So if there is a certification of civil society organizations which can be held accountable, because if they say we are doing this, we want to know from you if actually you are doing it.
At this year's event, and representing millennials keen to have a significant social impact, was Shiza Shahid, a social entrepreneur and investor committed to leveraging philanthropy. Shahid is also the co-founder of the Malala Fund, a charity dedicated to giving all girls the chance to go to school. It's an organization that she established with the father of the Pakistani schoolgirl, Malala Yousafzai, the world's youngest Nobel laureate, who was shot by the Taliban in 2012 on her way to school. A tireless, disruptive innovator, Shahid says that she knew it was her destiny to change the world from a very young age, and she took time to speak to Inspire about being an advocate of women's rights and her investment fund for mission-driven startups. She's a very warm welcome to Inspire Middle East.
Thank you for having me.
Simply put, how do you choose where to invest your money and lend your support? Do people of colour, diversity or disadvantage factor? What's the criteria?
So the question I'm asking is, if this business succeeds, how will the world be better? And that includes everything from, are the founders people that I believe in? I'll tell you about my first one, which is a startup called Clio. It's working with major companies in America and now around the world to reform their benefits to serve the needs of working parents. Because even today, in most countries, women are dropping out of the workforce after having their first child. And that's when the wage gap really becomes prominent.
Now, a major focus of the Malala Fund is, of course, education for girls. What's the biggest hurdle, the biggest obstacle to remove to make sure that they can get access to schools?
Often, the schools are not actually equipping their children to live a better life because they're not linked to the job market, or the teachers aren't trained, or the schools are too far so it's not safe to walk, or the girls are hungry, so even if they're going to school they're not really learning anything, or they're living in a culture where even if they get an education they won't be allowed to work, and the work environment won't be appropriate for them and won't allow them to thrive. I'm passionate about pushing governments to provide 12 years of free high-quality schooling, but also encouraging other actors and other sectors to get involved? Can we look at social enterprises? Can we look at low-cost private schools? And can we look at nonprofits and find other solutions that ensure that we're getting to those 130 million girls before it's too late?
Malala is currently studying at Oxford University. Is it your hope that she might realise her dream to one day become Prime Minister or President of Pakistan?
Oh, of course. Malala is brave and smart and courageous, and she would be an incredible leader, and has been. And I hope for her whatever is best for her, and I hope for Pakistan also whatever is best for the country.
You've spoken in the past about your desire to find other Malalas, women who are driving social change, smart social entrepreneurs. How are you finding them, or are they coming to you, and how are you helping them make a scalable impact?
It's a little bit of both. It's the serendipity, I think, that exists when you're a woman and you're trying to find other great women to support. I have had the good fortune of investing in a lot of women founders. I'm in an industry where that is rare. 2% of investment capital in America in technology goes to women, 0.2% to Black women. And so it's really appalling how little investment capital is going to women. But other than the ethical questions around that, we're just missing out on an entire range of ideas and solutions because we're not investing in these great innovators.
It's been a pleasure to speak to you today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Now, one Egyptian entrepreneur had such a passion for his mother's cooking that he came up with a novel idea to make sure that he could enjoy it at all times, even at work. Emad McKay has more on the healthy home-cooked concept that's feeding commuters in Cairo.
It's time for lunch here at one of Egypt's software development companies. But instead of eating junk food on the fly like many techie types, one Cairo startup says it has the answer: a hot, home-cooked meal delivered to your door, even to your office. Egyptian businessman Walid Abdulrahman founded Mom in 2015 and now partners with 110 freelance home cooks to deliver food to dozens every day around the big city of Cairo.
The idea came when we realized that the offering on the market is either affordable junk food or expensive clean food. So we thought, how can we provide the third alternative of nutritious food that is really affordable for everyone?
Diana Ahmed is one of dozens of freelance home cooks who work with Abdulrahman.
It's such a great idea because there's too many women that really in need to have a job. So Mom gives them a very good chance to work from their own kitchen and they get money.
It all starts with a simple online order. Khalid Hossam works for Robusta Software Company. It took him 4 minutes to decide he wants pasta for lunch. A neighboring cook whips up the dish in a nearby kitchen, and 90 minutes later, his lunch is delivered on bike to his office doors. Abdulrahman says indicators are promising, with 80% of income coming from repeat customers and sales growing at 23%. Mom is now targeting busy professionals and shorter delivery times for even higher profits and expansion outside Egypt.
Young poets and storytellers from Gulf countries are finding new methods of telling traditional yarns in fresh and dynamic ways. Salim Saeed attended Abu Dhabi's annual poetry and song event, Hekaya, to find out how these new spoken art forms were going down with the crowds.
The melding of music and poetry has gone hand in hand in the Middle East for centuries. Kuwaiti artist Ghazi al-Mulefi is performing his ancestral Bahri music, or sea music. He also adds an electric guitar to the mix, which Ghazi says is exactly what the customary genre is all about.
If you think about the tradition that gave birth to Kuwaiti pearl diving music, the sailors would interact with other musicians, and they would come back home with new beats, new melodies, new ideas. This drum here, Tab al-Bahri, it's the most important drum in Kuwaiti Bahri music, and it comes from India.
Ghazi is performing at an event called Hikaya, which means story in Arabic, celebrating the diversity of culture and styles of storytelling, ranging from modern forms to more traditional ones. Including the centuries-old Nabati style, or Bedouin poetry, handed down orally over generations in the now countries of the Arab Peninsula. But for Emirati writer Afra Atiq, spoken word is her storytelling method of choice, which uses wordplay and voice inflection to bring poetry to life.
When you grip life like he does, you get hands like his unbreakable, hands like his unshakable.
Despite being a technique more recently popularized in the US, she says spoken word has been practiced among Arab orators long before.
In the region, we've been poets for centuries, getting up and reciting and, poets responding to each other. So I don't think that it's adopting a different form.
Afra says the biggest misconception people have about the Gulf Arab poetry scene is that it doesn't exist. But she and other regional wordsmiths aim to dispel that myth with public gatherings such as Hikaya and others.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. And don't forget, you can catch all of our episodes online at euronews.com. Before I say goodbye, here are some social media posts that caught the attention of the team this week. Svetlana from Russia took this selfie at the Knowledge Summit with Emirati entrepreneur Omar Al-Busaidi. Andrea from Romania uploaded this shot of time spent reading poems by her favourite writer, Syria's late Nizar Kabani. And Amal from Egypt, who used to work at Mum's Food in Cairo, shared this image of her trying her hand at Thai cuisine.